The recording will be made available on the Turn It On YouTube channel afterwards, so please be aware that anything that you say will be recorded, and also if you do leave your camera on, that image will be recorded and that will be made available to the general public. Okay, let me get started. So this afternoon, it's welcome from me. My name is Martin. I've worked for Turn It On for a number of years and my background is education. I run the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert course, or MIEE, and I'll be working with you during that time. And there'll be also other people from Turn It On that will dip in and feature on sessions, but I will be the overarching person that will guide you through this process. As far as the training today is concerned, we're going to have a little look at, well, what on earth is an MIEE? If you're not sure yet, you may have done some general reading around, but it will become very clear. We'll also think about why you want to do that and how it's going to help you, or it's going to help the school or the trust that you work within, and just what you'll get from Turn It On in the way of the program. Before we go too far today, I've got somebody else here in the meeting, and it's Tom Welsh. She's the managing director of Turn It On and also got his MIE qualification, but heavily involved in supporting the Turn It On schools with Microsoft. So I'm just going to let Tom speak for a minute or two and then he'll hand back to me. Tom, are you there?
I am. Thanks, Martin. Hello, everyone. It is really good, like Martin says, that people are interested in doing the programme. And I thought I would just talk for literally 2 minutes on kind of the background to the programme, but which really comes from the background to Turn It On. I started Turn It On in 2003. I was teacher. I had taught at a couple of fairly large primary schools, and in both of those schools they had spent lots and lots of money on IT kit and technology, and in both of those schools it very rarely got used, and if it did get used, it was nothing like to its full potential. And the reasons that the technology never got used was either it didn't work. If it did work, the teachers didn't necessarily know how to get the most from it, or in some cases the schools had just bought the wrong things. So the Turn It On service that I started in 2003 and still our core service to this day was never just designed to be about fixing computers. It was always designed to address those three aspects: strategic planning from our school development managers, tech support, yes, from our consultants, but then this third part around CPD and training to hopefully build teachers' knowledge and skills. And we do that in various different ways, but one of the most successful over the last few years has been via this MIEE program. And what we're really looking to do is to create staff digital leaders in schools, whether they're teachers or leaders in the schools. It doesn't matter too much, but the idea is that these hopefully people at schools will see the benefits that technology can bring, and whether that's in creating more engaging classrooms, more accessible, inclusive classrooms, extending opportunities for pupils to learn outside the walls of the school, or even reducing teacher workload. If we can create those digital leaders in schools, hopefully that good practice and that enthusiasm for technology that they demonstrate will disseminate around the school, and it will have that sort of snowball effect. And really that's what we're trying to do with this program. Over the next couple of months, Martin will talk about the details of it. We're hoping that you will become those staff digital leaders in the school. We also hope that you will get your MIEE qualification. Last year, I think 51 teachers from Turn It On schools, every single person that had done the course and then applied to Microsoft did get the qualification. So we hope that that's another nice benefit of it. And we also hope that you'll build up some good contacts and colleagues in other schools, because I again remember from being a teacher in one individual school, it can sometimes it can feel a bit lonely, and you don't necessarily know whether you're doing the right thing. So we hope that we'll create a bit of a community as well. I think, unless anyone's got any questions for me, I'm going to stay on the call, so I'm happy to have questions at any point. But that's all I want to say, I think, to kick things off, Martin, if that's okay.
Thank you, Tom. We've also got another member of Turn It On the call today, and that's Tiana. She is our marketing executive. She'll do various things during the call, but she's can answer some questions. She'll also give us various links as we go through, but you will see her working with me throughout the course. So just to introduce her as well today, she's an integral linchpin in this operation. We, as a company, then, are linked and affiliated with Microsoft. We are an accredited global training partner and deliver Microsoft training on their behalf. We work quite closely with Jen King at Microsoft, and she's the UK Schools Engagement Lead. She is very much aware of this program and may pop up at some point during it to speak. But the other advantage is that we've worked, as Tom said, not just last year with a number of staff that have gone on to become MIEEs, but all the previous years as well. So we've got a huge pool of staff in Turn It On schools, which are now MIEEs and having impact in their schools or across their academies and really making a difference. Just to start with Turn It On, well, we offer you three things, and we ask three things of you, and that is that we will introduce you to an immediate community of like-minded people, MIEEs, and we'll sign you up to a team. You can join in, and you can actively get involved with discussion there and contributions. We ask for commitment from you, and in turn we give you a dedicated Turn It On mentor. That's primarily me, but also all the other Turn It On consultants that will feed in during the course. And as Tom said, we've had 100% pass rate for the years that we've run this, and we very much want to support you in becoming successful as you go through. The aims of the course, Tom's already mentioned a few of them, is to create accessible learning in the classroom, regardless of educational phase. And I know we've got a mixture here. There's a lot of transferable skills that we'll talk about throughout the course that come across in getting the MIEE qualification. We want to make that learning really sticky and enthralling and engaging. And just by coming along and sharing ideas with each other and also getting those and taking them back to your own school, it will happen. And then finally, and I know Tom did mention it, we do not want to add any additional workload through you deciding to go on this journey to become an MIEE. If anything, I know that when I did it originally, I found ways of being a lot more efficient with the way that I worked, automating some of the mundane, time-consuming things that I used to do, and using some of the apps that I found out or ways to do things that really benefited me, but also ended up going back and benefiting the schools that I worked with at the time. So as we said at the beginning, some of you might be thinking, well, what on earth is an MIEE? And an MIEE is somebody in the school that's really a leader who wants to bring about change. You don't always have to be really knowledgeable about IT. It might be that you're just interested in it and you want to expand your knowledge in that area. It may be that you're somebody that really loves IT, and you know what, that's a passion of yours and you like to use that in your teaching. Or maybe you're not a member of the teaching staff, because MIEE is open to people that are non-teaching staff as well. And it could be somebody that works in an admin function. You could be a part of a central trust team. You can still apply to become an MIEE. And I've had people think that that's a barrier previously. It's not. Even if you don't teach directly on a day-to-day basis, you might be able to show that you've gone to somebody who is a teacher or a member of support staff, and you've helped them or you've developed them professionally, and then that's had an impact, and you can use that as your evidence to become an MIEE. So don't worry if you're not actually somebody who's in the classroom. You can still undertake the qualification if you're interested in doing so. It brings about a global recognition. MIEE is available around the world from Microsoft, and there are communities everywhere. And what you'll be able to do once you're qualified is tap into that community. So you may already network with the schools around you. You might be in a trust and you've got a group of schools that work together, or you can accelerate that further still to connect with schools across the UK or schools outside of the UK. And yes, there are other education systems, but a lot of the philosophies and pedagogy behind that is very similar. And there are some great opportunities we'll talk about later to connect with those people outside the UK if that's something that's of interest to you. The role of the MIEE, you're probably going to be passionate about learning in the first place, as I said, not necessarily forward facing and delivering that in the classroom. And you'll be interested in developing others around you, and you will also get access to quite a large amount of resource too. So don't worry if you are somebody who thinks, how on earth is this going to happen? A lot of it will come from us if you decide to join us on this journey, but we will direct you to various resources that are available not only in the community but directly from Microsoft. The role of the MIE is to take those and craft those and bring them back in and become very self-driven about that, but maybe improve your own practice, and hopefully you will, but very much those people in your school or your trust, or it could be schools that you're affiliated with if you're going to do some outreach work. And I've had people do that in the past as well, and go out and work with schools that they weren't necessarily connected to before, but they became an MIEE, or they were on the journey to becoming an MIEE. And one of the things they decided to do was set up a local IT hub and raise standards in a very local area. So there's lots of ways of approaching this, and you can be as creative as you want. And Microsoft's quite open to that. All you have to do at the end of this process is make sure you're really clear on the evidence of the impact you've had. There are many, many different roads and ways to getting there. Before I move off of what is an MIEE, has anybody got any questions about those areas I've just covered, or what may make up a person that wants to become an MIEE? I'll just go across and quickly have a check on the chat. Nothing over there yet. Do feel free, if you want to write anything in there, we're here to answer them. Tom and Tiana will gladly answer those questions for you, or I'll pick them up when I have another pause point. Let's move on then at this moment in time and think about why you might want to become an MIEE. We touched on the what is the MIEE, but a lot of those areas do come across to why. You will be somebody who's openly looking to develop your own practice, but those of others. So it might be that you've got a CPD focus in school, and the MIEE will tie into that. We're very much, as we said, about not increasing workloads. So if you know that you are going to try and go for another leadership point, or from main scale into a TLR or something, and you know you've got to do something to show impact in school, it could be that the MIEE is the vehicle to do that. But you're very much going to be in the mindset that you will learn new things yourself, but you are going to take those and disseminate those. You might introduce new technology and hardware if budget permits. It could, on the other side, be making more of Office 365. There's a wealth of apps directly in Office 365 and affiliated with it that you could use to bring into classroom practice, but also you could use them across the wider school. So it could be using something like Microsoft Forms more efficiently to collect data in and get rid of pieces of paper, or instead of people emailing something and then copying it across to an MIS system. That will all help with that efficiency of workloads and reducing the pressure on members of staff. You'll also find that you do get more of a hook with pupils and students, and they start to enjoy that aspect. We're never suggesting that technology is going to be this big monster that's going to dominate your lessons and replace traditional teaching methods. Absolutely the reverse. We encourage you to use it sparingly, but use it in a complementary way, so it's subtly in there and it's having an effect, but it isn't a thing that's in your face the whole time. We have discussed this global community, but I've never been involved in such an active community as the MIEE community around the world. Because people are so passionate and they're almost frothing over, they're really fizzy with enthusiasm, they're quite willing to share ideas with you or point you in the direction of a resource. And if you ask a question in the global MIEE community, once you've connected, normally someone will come back to you quite quickly, and you'll get 2 or 3 good ideas, and they may not all be relevant, but quite often they do make you think, and then they will make you reflect and improve your own practice. It also encourages that holistic approach in school, that you will raise standards across the board because of what you do inevitably. It may not be in every aspect, it will be something you will do that you will take from your experience of becoming an MIEE and take back to the institution you work in. You'll also get to know others in your school better. I know when I did this the first time, there were some people I was working with that were in other departments. It was a secondary school, and they for the first time came to my classroom. And yes, we saw each other. It was a large secondary school. We sort of knew each other, but I didn't know them that well. And we become really good friends because of it. And it strengthened the school on the back of that as a whole. So it really is a unifying experience. It also drives transferable skills. So 21st century learning design is something that's at the core of a lot of Microsoft programs, including the MIEE. And it doesn't just introduce students or staff to technology, it also gives them a philosophy to use around that. And those transferable skill sets, particularly with pupils or students, are really important, because we found very often that the skill set they learn in one subject by using technology in the MIEE program, they will take elsewhere, and then it opens doors for other areas of the curriculum or other teachers. It also gives you an opportunity to get an accreditation and a qualification that you can take forward and use for your own professional development as well. The courses that are available that go alongside the Turn It On MIEE course, I will show you a little later on about the Microsoft Education Centre. It's recently been renamed, but that's got a huge amount of self-study courses. Some of those won't require you to go and study. And one of the benefits of joining the Turn It On MIEE program is that we will cover content from the Microsoft Education Centre, and we will deliver it face-to-face on live sessions. And you won't have to watch a video or read something. You'll be able to do it with us. You'll be able to see it and have a go yourself at the same time. You'll get used to people sharing ideas, and we've found in previous years that discussion in the team that we will introduce you to, that we're going to create, but also during these sessions, is usually quite lively, and people leave with really good ideas or inspiration, or someone will say, oh, I approached the problem that way. And it can just help, because Tom said earlier that very often you can have a degree of isolation, that you're in your own school or you're in your own classroom, and it can be quite hard to find somebody else's spark of it. Well, that gives the opportunity by joining the MIEE community to do that. It also gives you an opportunity to get the inside on Microsoft technology or what might be coming out in the future. Because we're a global training partner at Turn It On, we often get to find out things that are going to emerge in the near future, so we can alert you to those, and you can think about how you might weave them in when they become fully available from Microsoft. Or you may even get access, once you're a qualified MIEE, to go on to things like testing programs where Microsoft are developing a new product. Prime example of that, and we'll look at it later on in these sessions, is something called Reading Progress in Teams, and that was developed including feedback from groups of MIEEs around the world. So you do get an opportunity to get on the inside of Microsoft and find out more. So impact on pupils, we've covered a lot of these. That 21st century learning design is really key. That you'll find that you get a lot more feedback because the pupils are engaged. They tend to talk to you more. They'll tell you more about what's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not. You can tweak your lessons even further, so you can have that greater impact on progress and learning. But also the other side of it, I've seen a lot of the tools that we talk about help with things like pastoral and mental well-being. So it's not just about driving standards or academic progress. When I said holistic earlier, I did truly mean that. It will also give you a voice in school. You'll have something that you can meaningfully contribute, and it will be seen to be making a difference. One of the other aspects that people often feed back to me is that you can tap into communities anytime, anywhere, because we all know that we're busy during the daytime, so we may not get a chance to look at this until odd times of the day or sometimes in the evening. Not that I'm advocating working in the evening, but you have got access to us. So if you think you've got a question, you can pop that into the Turn It On team that you'll be enrolled into. And then one of us that are moderating it can come back to you with answers. But what you'll also find is, because you've got an immediate community of like-minded people, you'll get other people contributing as well and feeding back their ideas. So you get several layers of community and support just by joining Turn It On this program. Has anybody got any questions about why they might want to become an MIEE from that, or anything that they're pondering at the moment? Again, I'll go over and have a quick look at the chat, see if there's anything in there. Nothing at the moment. Anybody like to unmute and ask anything at all? No? Okay. If you do, don't worry, there'll be lots of opportunity at the end, but we'll also have some more pause points as we go through. So we've spoken so far a lot about what is an MIEE and why you might want to become an MIEE. But one of the big things that often worry people is what's involved. Well, the reason that Turn It On created this program, and the reason that I was so passionate about getting it set up, is that because I wanted community, yes, but also because we didn't want people to feel that they were alone in doing this. Another aspect and another benefit of joining Turn It On this program is that we will support you in getting your application right. So when it goes in, just like the previous people we've worked with, it's really strong, it's got a lot of evidence, it's hitting the points that you need, and we will spend some time going through how to structure that, what answers look like, what is good evidence. So step one we will ask you to do is to join the Microsoft Education Centre. The Microsoft Education Centre, I'll share a screen with you a little bit later on that, but it is a website from Microsoft, and if you put that into a search, it would come up. It's being renamed at the moment to the Microsoft Learn Education Centre. Microsoft are busy moving all the content over to a new platform, but the two platforms will just become one underneath the new unified name of Microsoft Learn Education Centre. If you've already got a Microsoft Education Centre account, you can migrate it over, or you can leave it in the Microsoft Education Centre for now. It's really transitional at the moment, and there's about another 12 months of moving those across, but you will need to join it. You'll then need to undertake some courses. Most of the beginning to intermediate courses on the centre are about 500 points each. You can also have courses that are joined up in a learning pathway, as it's called. So it's a string of individual courses around a certain theme. Another benefit of joining Turn It On the sessions is that we will give you codes that you can redeem. So if you're finding that there's a lot of pressure already, we understand how tricky it is just keeping schools going with COVID. You may be covering other classrooms and helping colleagues out. I understand that. Tom and I are in schools every single week. We see the pressures. So what we'll do is we will gift you bespoke codes that you can redeem in the Microsoft Learn Education Centre that will equate to being the same as doing some of those self-study courses. So you can get your MIE qualification just by coming along to the sessions. And then the final bit is to enter your self-nomination form, and you won't do that straight away. If you want to go to the Microsoft Education Centre, it's really straightforward. When you get there, where the fingers are pointing in the top right-hand corner, you'll either sign in and you can use your school account, or you can use a personal account. Choice is yours. But once you're signed in, it will change to your initials in the top right-hand corner, and you can start exploring courses that are there. So as I've said, 1,000 points makes you an MIE. Microsoft has a few acronyms to get your head around. So Microsoft Innovative Educator. And to become an MIEE, a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert, you need to be an MIE first. Don't sweat it. If you think when you go to the MEC and you sign up, look, I haven't got time to do this at the moment. As I've said, there'll be numerous opportunities to get codes from us, and you can redeem them, and it will be the equivalent of doing a self-study. So we've taken away some of that pressure by coming along to the Turn It On sessions. The application in July will end up giving you, hopefully, your MIEE qualification, and then that may lead to other places. So we've got a number of staff that have gone through in previous years who've decided to become absolute beacons and digital ambassadors that have brought about transformation in their own schools, and now we've got some of those schools becoming Microsoft Showcase schools, and that's another program that Turn It On runs with Microsoft. And we can help the school if you're interested in that, and after this you want to, you can become a Microsoft Showcase school, and there's another journey to go on there. So there is longevity, and there's something else to move on to after this course if you really enjoy this course at the end. The self-nomination and application process for 2022 into 2023 has been changed from previous years, and last year's cohort got caught in the middle of the change, but we've spoken to Microsoft and there's no intention to change the way that applications are done this year. So what I'm about to share with you will stay, and it will be what you have to do. There's a self-nomination evidence document that's a Word document, and it's got several phases of evidence in it. Phase one is just about you, gives a little bit of background, tells Microsoft just what you've done so far, where you're working, what sort of things you're interested in, and so forth. You've then got a phase 2 section in that document that's around it's more of a quantitative, and it's around things that you've achieved. It will have certain metrics that are measured, but they'll be really easy to answer and demonstrate through going through and either studying independently or just joining the Turn It On sessions. Then phase 3 is around long answers, and those will be up to 4,000 characters, and they'll be almost case study based around certain things that you've undertaken because you've gone through several months of being an MIEE. So it could be, in the example I gave earlier, you've introduced Microsoft Forms and you've changed the way that data is collected, and it might be by admin teams, it could be by the leadership team with staff, or it could be in the classroom and you're using it to support teaching and learning. Those nominations need to be in as it currently stands by the 15th of July, and there will also be an opportunity to get some feedback from Microsoft. So any that go in slightly ahead of that on the 8th of July as it currently stands, Microsoft will give them a quick once over. And if in that window something's not quite right, you get an opportunity to get a nudge from Microsoft and you get a chance to resubmit, and all is not lost. Just so that you can see what that looks like. Phase 1, as I've already alluded to, is very much around you, digital tools that you use, education and technology communities you may already be active within. I'd encourage you to sign up with Twitter. There's a lot of good stuff shared by Microsoft and Turn It On Twitter. Also, if you use LinkedIn, that's another good platform. So there's great ways to get the heads up on what's coming or really new initiatives from Microsoft that might benefit you. Then phase 2 is those scored questions that I've spoken to you about, and they're usually between 0 and 30. And that will be around the apps that you're using from Office 365 or Microsoft 365, including Windows. And you'll be expected to give certain scores to demonstrate how far you've progressed with using them and where they're having impact across the school or the trust that you're working within. Those will be normally marked by machine learning or AI. It is accurate. Last year, there wasn't anything in the way of problems with that, so don't be concerned that that doesn't get a human eye. What does get a human eye is the phase 3 questions, and their long answer. It has up, so it is 5 to 4,000 characters now, not 5 to 2,000 characters. And then that's really where you give those case studies, the evidence, the impact. So one of the important things that I would say during this time of working through becoming an MIEE is to keep loads and loads of evidence, whether it's screenshots, a copy of a document, photo of something you've done in the classroom, whatever it is, have that to hand, because it's really useful for that phase 3 long answer questions. That can be quite difficult to visualize, so we've got a timeline for you. The last round of submissions have already closed. They were November to December last year, but that November to December will run again at the end of this calendar year. And if you happen to not be successful in July, it's a second opportunity to get your application in and just tidy up any of the areas that Microsoft says that you need to go and look at. The Turn It On MIEE course, we first started launching it just before Christmas. This is the main launch session today, and we will go all the way through to the end of June, beginning of July with you, having courses, and we'll show you an agenda every 3-ish weeks where there'll be something new to be exposed to, different platforms that will also help you with your application at the same time. So the two things are very much in tandem. That's underpinned by the support from Microsoft. So beyond the Microsoft Education Center, there will be events such as E2. E2 is a global event. Before COVID, it used to be held in a different country, and you could pop an application in to try and get a free, all expenses paid trip to go to Paris or Australia. It was virtually for the last couple of years, and I think it probably will be virtual this year, but it will inevitably go back to being an in-person, face-to-face event in the future again. There's things like BET. So BET currently has been rearranged to March. Microsoft will have some presence there. Turn It On will also be working with Microsoft there as well, so you can come along and see us, come along to the Microsoft stand when that happens. And also it's quite good for meeting other MIEEs that are coming to the Microsoft stand. You need to get your application in by July the 15th. Normally the window opens on the 6th of May. That's the intended period at the moment. And then there'll be lots of marketing and pushes from Microsoft during that time. What Turn It On will give you is You get 5 Teams meetings, and we're focusing on a different Office 365 app that could be really good, not just in the phase 3 section, but it will help you to be that digital leader and ambassador in your own school or trust. You'll get some Q&A sessions with previous MIEEs. You will also get one virtual showcase school drop-in, and we are working with a showcase school, and I'll speak more about that this week. But we've got another one coming up later in the summer, and you'll be invited to go to that, and there'll be a showcase school that has lots of MIEEs in it, and it will talk to you about just what you can achieve, and they're a lot further down the line. So it's great for building vision and an insight into what's possible. We will, if we can, get some face-to-face sessions, COVID-19 permitting, and we would look at holding one of those at one of our offices. And there'll be loads of support and collaboration, I've already said, in a dedicated Microsoft team that you'll be invited to join if you're not enrolled in there already. And there'll be support for creating your application. And if you think you would benefit from additional support, we do have separately paid additional consultancy if that's something you desire, if you want to go down that route. And I know we've got quite a few Turn-It-On schools here already, but if you are from a non-Turn-It-On school, that's something we offer. So we want you to do certain things. We want you to be brave and have a go. It won't always go to plan first time, but don't worry about it. Come back and share your woes with us, or your successes, and I tend to get more successes than woes. We want you to contribute to the team that you'll be enrolled into. That community is so important. It's a massive catalyst in this being successful. So come in, share ideas, talk to each other. If you just want to natter with someone in that team, you can have a private chat if you want, that's available too, but you can share things publicly. We also want you to keep track, and I should have corrected that, that's a typo from me, your application at the end. It used to be a sway in a video, and we want you to put in your self-nomination. So what we said that program that we spoke about would look like is that the dates on the left are correct currently, although as things stand, we had to occasionally move the odd date, but we really try not to once they're publicized. So you've got 5 core sessions that will go through different applications, from using things like OneNote Class Notebook in Teams through to accessibility tools, and then how to use other things like Forms or Sway, or apps that are associated with Office 365 but are equally as powerful, like Flipgrid. In every one of those sessions, we're weaving something about application, how to strengthen application, evidence you should collect, and then how to build that so that it's not a massive rush when it comes to the end. Again, thinking about workloads, it's a lot easier to just keep a folder and keep adding evidence, whether you're going to keep it in SharePoint or your OneDrive, wherever you're going to do it, and then you can just pull on it when you need to for either that phase 2 evidence for those numerical questions, or phase 3 when it comes to those deeper dives, and you're giving a scenario that you need to talk about. This deck itself will be made available inside the team when you join, but we've also got some recommended courses on the Microsoft Education Center, or the Microsoft Learn Education Center as it will be known soon, around Teams and OneNote, and also the MIE Trainer Academy is a good course to get started on. So when you get this deck in there, you can click on those links and it will directly link you through to the MEC where you can start to have a look at those courses. But never fear, if you're going to join Turn-It-On the curated MIEE course, we'll also cover a lot of similar areas. But if you want to get started and you really just want to get tucked into something, it will give you something to be going on with. So Tiana will put you in the chat a couple of links. One of those things in the chat is going to be our MIE events page on the Turn-It-On website, and that's where you can go and find out lots more information about the upcoming sessions too. There's a little synopsis of each. A lot of people here so far today have signed up to join us on the launch session, but haven't all joined the MIEE course. So another thing that Tiana will pop into the chat in a moment is the MIEE registration form for the Turn-It-On course. It doesn't matter if you're not sure, just pop a second registration in. If you know you haven't done it and you want to make sure you get your place and you join that course, then just use that link that Tiana's going to add in there and you can sign up for it. If you're listening to this back, There will be a hyperlink in the documents that are available afterwards. The deadline for sign up is Friday, the 11th of February, and then that's going to be ahead of the first session 1 meeting. I mentioned that you've got an opportunity to go and visit showcase schools. There are showcase school days coming up, and one of the things you can do is join us this week. On Thursday, we're working with Cornerstone Primary School in Portsmouth and Hampshire. We're going to have a whole day of insight events, and there are 5 workshops from teachers down there. We're going to show you impact they've had by using Microsoft technology and other technology, not just Microsoft. Also, Tim, the head of the school, will join us in the morning and talk about their digital transformation journey and how they've become a showcase school, the benefits of having people become MIEs and so forth. Tom will also be in that first session of the day. And then in the afternoon, we've got a keynote from Sean Phelps. He is ex-Microsoft and he works for Hable, and he's going to do a huge section on accessibility tools and how to get access to learning using Microsoft tools. So you'll be able to come along to that in the afternoon. Tiana will also pop a link for that into the chat. So if it's something you're able to join in on, you're welcome to join any bits of the day. It will all be recorded, but that's a sort of events that you can get involved with. And it just opens up horizons of what's possible. I mentioned the benefits of social media. It really is useful to follow people. A couple of people to instantly follow is Jen for the UK. She promotes a lot of the UK Microsoft events. For instance, last week was Microsoft's DigiGirls initiative, which focuses on STEM or STEAM and getting girls into technology and maths and so forth. It's a huge initiative that runs a couple of times a year from Microsoft, and those sorts of things you'll pick up from following people on social media. Another really great guy is Mike Tholson. He's based in America, out in Seattle, but he is always providing really useful resources or little short videos about how to get Microsoft tools to work for you. We also regularly tweet, and we're on LinkedIn as well, so do follow us. One of the other areas that we're really keen to get you into is we've got a dedicated YouTube channel where these recordings will go onto, and then in the team, Tiana will start popping in there the links for you to go and watch the recorded videos. You can also go and watch last year's videos if that's something you want to dip into and you just want to get ahead of the game. But we are very keen to get feedback and evaluation, and also ideas of other courses that you'd like to see Turn It On run in partnership with Microsoft. The evaluation form is only 4 or 5 questions long, so a lot of them are tick boxes with a couple of comments. If you could give us any evaluation and feedback, we would really, really value it. And certainly before you go today, if you could do that, that would help us a great deal. And Tiana's popping all these links into the chat. Turn It On, as Tom said, is built on the philosophy of making schools get the most out of the technology they've got around them, bringing it to life. We're not just about fixing stuff, and we are very much a rounded support company as well. So I'll leave the slide on the screen there while I do questions at the end so you can understand a bit more about Turn It On. If you're not a Turn It On school, if you are, you probably already get updates and bulletins from us. So I'm just going to have a look back through the chat. I can see that Ruby, you've popped a question in there. You've asked for clarifications on what good quality evidence would be, screenshots and so forth. So good quality evidence can be a number of things. It could be a document you've produced. So it might be a sway that you've made. It might be a PowerPoint presentation. It could be pictures of what you've done in a classroom. It could be feedback you've got from a parent about moving into using forms for collecting consent or admissions information. It can be really diverse in nature, but if you're in doubt, ask us in the team. And I would say also, if you're in doubt, grab it while you've got it or you've got the opportunity to get it, as long as it's not too onerous to collect, because the more you have to pick from at the end, you can start to sift it further still and really pick the very, very high quality information or evidence to use in that final, particularly phase 3 bit of your self-nomination form and your application to become an MIEE. I have concluded what I need to share with you today to give you a flavour. I know that there's an awful lot to get your head around initially, but rest assured that myself and Tom and the rest of the Turn It On team are here to support you through this if you decide to come on the journey with us. We would love you to pop your application in. If you do decide to get to the end and you haven't got time, as I said, you've got the second window, and that will be in December 2022, although we'd love you to pop your application in July. But if nothing else, coming on the sessions with us will provide you with so many insights that it will set you up to be a really big power for change in your school as that digital ambassador. And you'll get lots from it anyway. And you can share that with your colleagues, or you can use that yourself and share it with your colleagues at a later date if you just feel that things change for you as you move through the spring and the summer term. And we completely accept you can't all see what's coming, but what we're offering you is the chance to come along on that journey and get from it what you actually need to take, and we'll do what we can to support you at the same time. Luke, I can see you've got a question in there. I think it was that's it. There'll be some similar content, and there'll also be updates. So for instance, when we come to Teams, I'll cover a bit on reading progress because that's come out this year and it wasn't there last year, or new features that have been woven in that are relevant. I will include those as well. So it won't all be the same, but some of it will be touching on similar areas, but we try to give it a little refresh every single year. And if you want to come along again, or you want teachers to come along again, Luke, I know you've come to many of our programs previously, there'll be something new. It won't all be new, because also some of the areas or the apps that we focus on are really key to your MIE application, so we can't omit them and then put something else in because it needs to be there. Tom, I see you unmuted. Are you going to add something in there as well?
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, the guest speakers will be different this year
Yes.
as to last year. So we've got some really good guest speakers lined up. Head teacher of a school, very, on the face of it, normal looking primary school that became a showcase school through good use of technology, and a couple of other really great guest speakers. So that will be different.
Yeah, very much so. And we've got a returning MIE who went through the program with us in the very first year, and they're currently in the moment what's called a showcase incubator school, and on their journey to becoming a fully fledged showcase school. So you'll get quite a bit of insight just by coming along. And as Tom said, we like to have different guest speakers every single year. Ruby, Ruby, I can see it's Robert with Luke. You want to know how it compares with doing the badges from the Microsoft Education Center. You get a certain level of knowledge and skills from self-study from the Microsoft Education Center, and it's a very good resource to tap into. But the additional dynamic of coming and joining a community such as this is that the connections that you'll make tend to enhance things further still, or the little tips or refinements that you pick up by having the discussions, or it's not just one way. Very often I might show something and then someone will say either during the session or at the end, "Oh, Martin, did you know you can do this?" Or they've introduced that, or we work with that tool in this way, and they'll share that too. So that's the added benefits and the depth that you don't get from just using the MEC or the MLEC as it will be on its own. Any other questions that anybody wishes to ask, or anything anybody's a little bit unsure of that they just want clarification on? We're more than happy to clear that up for you this afternoon. No problem, Dorothy. It's all been recorded, and you will be able to get a recording of this later. Tiana from our marketing department will edit that and make that available. So don't worry, Dorothy, you'll be able to go back and watch the first bit that you've missed. No problem at all. And I should say, moving forwards, we completely and thoroughly accept that you've all got really busy lives in school and out of school, and it may not be possible to attend every session, which is why we record them. It's also, we'll be putting the resources into the files section of the team in the community, so you can go and pick up resources from there that may not be available in the MEC that we've got access to because we're a global training partner. So there's going to be lots to pick up outside of the sessions. We'd like you to come to as many as possible, but we do understand it's not always possible to get there. Any other questions? No? Okay. Tom, is there anything you wanted to add before I draw things to a close this afternoon?
No, that's everything. I hope lots of people want to do it. The applications that are included for free within Office 365 are amazing and can really enhance what can happen in the classroom, particularly for certain children that might struggle with how things are delivered in a more traditional way. So yeah, hope lots of people join, and it will be great to have you with us for the next few months doing it.
Thank you. I echo the same message. I'd love to have as many of you join as possible. We haven't got a cap on numbers, so if you want to be involved, please do be involved, and we will support you in the best way we can as we progress through the year. If any of you have got questions you'd rather ask more informally, I'm going to stop the recording now and I will remain here in the session. You can also ask me questions over in the team, and I know some of you, as I said, are enrolled, and those of you that haven't signed up yet, please do sign up, and the minute you sign up, we'll get you into that team as well so that you can join that community. One of the first things we ask you to do is introduce yourself in there. I can see a couple of people have already done that, so thank you so much. The rest of you, please don't be shy, introduce yourselves, and then we will drop in more content as we build up towards session 1. And the cutoff, as I said, to sign up is Friday the 11th of February. So please do make sure that you sign up there. Once you've signed up, Dorothy, you'll get added into the team, and then you can get the recording there, and that's where you can pick up that link. So the sign up form is in the chat for anyone who's not found it yet. If you just scroll back up a little bit, it's there from Tiana, so you can sign up there too. As I've said, I will